Welcome, and in today's video of our educational video series, we are going to talk about lean legs and why it's hard to achieve lean legs, but it's not impossible. So we are going to cover first the process of achieving lean legs. Then we are going to talk about why it's hard to achieve it. Then we are going to talk specifically about what's needed to transform your legs and your lower body, and we are also going to review the lean legs killers. But first, let me show you a few pictures of what happens with Dragana's leg. So when we first met, it's the picture on the left. That's how she looked, and it was specifically something that she wanted to improve upon. And just to give you an idea, um, we took skinfold measurement with a Hartmann caliper that's very accurate. It's zero point 0.2 millimeters, so it's very precise. And her skinfold, when we pinched the skin on the leg, was 44 millimeters. So it's 4 centimeters. It's almost 2 inches. That's the picture on the left. The picture in the middle, it's the end of her third cutting phase that was very successful. And on that picture, she has only 10 millimeters on her legs with the skin fold. So you have to imagine it's 3.5 centimeter less of body fat that she was carrying on her legs at that time. It's 1 inch and a half. And then the last picture on the right is after reversing the diet with the calories going back up after her second cutting phase. And so she was eating at maintenance, and I don't recall exactly what the measurement was. I think it was around like 15 or 17 millimeters, and that's pretty much her standard. So that's the way she walks around in her everyday life. So it's basically 3 centimeters difference of body fat that you can see. So it's this much less body fat on her skin, on her legs. And here you can see it again. So on the top, you can see each hair that was passing by where she was trying to get leaner legs but wasn't succeeding because the process was not the right one and she was not doing the right things to achieve that. And then below, it's using the right process. It's her from the left to the right. It's cutting phase, then maintenance, build, then cutting phase, and then maintenance. And you can see quite clearly the change in shape in her legs. And in comparison to the pictures above, of course, yes, the pictures below are in a flex position, so that the muscles are coming a bit more through, but you can definitely see the difference in shape in her legs. And in the pictures above, even though she was flexing at time, then you could not see that kind of shape in her legs. You could definitely not see the muscle, the shape coming through under the skin. So let's dive in and talk about the process of what it's going to take to transform your lower body. So the first thing is you want to have an overall body fat reduction. It's not really possible to spot reduce fat. So if you want to have lean legs, then you have to lose body fat overall and your whole body. And sometimes it is more stubborn in your legs. So you just have to keep going until the body fat reduces in your legs as well. The second thing, this is super important, is to increase the muscle mass in the lower body, because for the same amount of body fat that you're going to have, if you have a different amount of muscle mass, then the look is going to be different because your muscle are going to push against the skin from underneath, and it's just going to create a different texture, different shape in your lower body. So having enough muscle mass is going to be a game changer when it comes to the look of the lower body. Then we also want to optimize your hormonal status, because this is going to help you reduce water retention. And for a lot of women, a lot of water retention happens in the legs. So we want to pay attention to that. And the next thing we want to do also is to take care of your fascia. So if you take care of your fascia with some recovery, then you are going to reduce some inflammation, and also reducing inflammation is going to improve your fascia. You're going to hold less water, and overall, the look is going to be better. And finally, we want to make sure that you eat the right foods to support the detox pathways of your body. So, this goes with what we've already talked about, the inflammation and water retention. We want to make sure that the strategies that you use with your nutrition is going to support the detox pathways of the body, so the liver, the kidneys, and the gut, so that you can get rid of the stuff that you don't need, and you're going to optimize this way your hormonal profile. Why it's hard to achieve it? The first one is because building muscle in the body and the lower body takes a lot of effort and fortitude, and it takes a long time. So overall, building muscle just takes a lot of time. And depending when you where you start, what's your status is at the moment, then it's going to be 3 to 5 years of really spending time trying to build your lower body to see a massive difference. And this is something that's not super easy because, of course, when you're doing it, it's very difficult to see the differences. But someday, when you are consistent, after a few years, you are going to wake up, you are going to look at pictures of you 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and you are going to see, like, hey, this looks absolutely different. And it's just not easy to be patient enough and to consistently apply that kind of effort to build your lower bodies. And so what we see a lot of with the women that work with us, that start working with us, is at the beginning they really enjoy training their upper body because getting stronger and getting more muscle is cool, and you can see the changes happening a bit faster in your upper body. It's also easier to push because you can see your muscle, so you're going to see the pump during the training. So it's really easier to push also because the muscle groups are smaller, so it's not as draining. But then when it comes to the lower body, it's much more difficult, and we see a lot of women that comes to us and do, for example, dumbbell bench press or dumbbell overhead press with 10 kilo per side, and then they go on to do Bulgarian split squats or split squats variations in their lower body days, and they are going to use the same weight or even less weight than that because it's tiring. But your muscles and your legs are way stronger. So if you are using the same weight for your lower body than what you are using for your upper body, most likely you are under training your lower body, and it takes a lot of effort to really go after it with your lower body. The next thing is it's also quite difficult because it's going to need several proper cutting phases. So as we said already, you want to have less body fat overall, and to do this, then you might need to start do a proper cutting phase, and it's still going to be a bit too much body fat on your legs. So you want to maintain that for a long period of time, get stronger during that time, and then do another cutting phase where overall your body fat is going to go down, but also the body fat in your lower body. And then maybe you're going to be in a place where you already notice a change, and it's going to be a better spot to then go into a maintenance or a small building phase to increase muscle mass. And then you're going to repeat that several times to really create changes, significant changes that you can see in the mirror in your lower body. And this is just something that takes time. Next, you want to eat right to support detox consistently over years. So It's going to require to say no quite a few times, for example, to reduce alcohol or to reduce eating too many times in a week out when you can't really control what's in your plate. You don't know how it's cooked, you don't know how many calories, and so forth and so on. And you definitely want to make sure that you get um, enough fibers, for example, enough protein to support the liver. The fibers are going to really help with digestion, with your gut. And this is something that's super, super important. We see a lot of people that come to us, and even though they think or say that they eat healthy, most of the time vegetables are lacking, fruits are lacking, and the digestion is not working optimally. So this is something that just takes a bit of used to, and having the right strategies, and being very consistent with it over a long period of time is something that's not super easy. And the next thing is stress management and recovery as an ongoing process. This is something that's going to require you to make changes, to make decisions in your life, and to also say no to some things. For example, say no to staying up very long, to party a lot in the weekend, or to have a very erratic lifestyle or sleep schedule. And sometimes also to say no to some relationships, or just like habits happening within a relationship. So for example, if you have friends with whom you go and your main occupation is then to snack on chips or ice creams, and this is what you do, when you start to say no to that, then sometimes you get some resistance. And it takes a bit of a vulnerability, because you are in a spot where you could be rejected, for example, or people are going to give unwanted, unsolicited opinion on your goals. And this takes courage to go through that. That's one thing. And then the other thing about recovery is our lifestyle and culture in our society is not really about recovery, it's about productivity. And if you want to really maximize your recovery and reduce your stress management, then it's going to take some effort, but also, like I said, some vulnerability and some courage to go against the grain a bit, to say no to a few things, so that you can really like focus and prioritize your recovery. And all of this, of course, requires some time commitment. So this is it's doable to transform your lower body, but it is a commitment. It is something that requires some effort. It's not going to happen overnight. And in order to do the things that I just talked about, then you just must commit and invest some time in it. So this is something that yeah, some people don't want to see, and don't really want to accept, but it's just a fact. And the very last thing, of course, is the genetic. So some people just have lean legs and they were born with it, and it's never changing, and it's never going to really change. Some people have to work much harder to obtain the same kind of result, and it's up to you to decide if you want to work very hard for that, if the reward is worth the investment. Sometimes it's not, that's absolutely fine, but know that this is going to play a role. That being said, there's always a possibility to improve things and to get better results, and to change the way you train or eat to maximize yeah, what you're doing, so that you transform your body over time. We just never know like how much change is going to happen, but more importantly, how fast this change is going to happen. Sometimes it takes quite a long time, and then suddenly just everything clicks and falls into places, and then you start to look way, way, way better without really knowing. It feels like suddenly everything is clicking. And yeah, so this is something that you have to keep in mind. And of course, the damn cookie sometimes is going to stand in the way and makes it a bit more difficult to achieve a lower body that's very lean. Now, what to do to transform your body? So the first thing is you want to strength train with high intensity 3 to 5 times weekly, and you want to do this for a few years. Like I already say, like 3 to 5 years is something that's realistic or close to what we see in the practice. And you definitely want to have the goal ultimately of becoming stronger, because if you have more muscle mass, then you have more potential for getting strong. And getting stronger should be a byproduct of developing your lower body and building muscle in your legs. And we just see that the people that have the and quote unquote best looking legs are the people that are strong and can move a lot of weight with their leg press, with their RDS, with their split squats, with their squats, with hack squat, leg press, so forth and so on. Then you also want to eat enough protein, and especially animal protein seem to have a great impact. Not exactly sure why that is. Animal protein is not just protein. You also have like micronutrient like vitamins, minerals, and other compounds like carnitine and creatine in meat. Those have an impact on the way your body works, on your muscle, but also on detox pathways. And it just seems to work better when you have enough animal protein, but also like overall protein intake has to be there so that you can transform your lower body. Then you also want to eat your veggies and your fruits to make sure that you get plenty of fibers and micronutrient. So protein are important, but it's not the only macronutrient that is important. And getting enough fiber is going to help with your digestion. And for example, your hormones are metabolized by your liver, and then from the liver they go into your gut, and then with the help of soluble fiber, it gets out. Like what needs to get out gets transported when you have bowel movement with the help of fibers. So you really want to make sure that you have all of this in your intake. And you also want to eat the carbs so that you can support your performance and your recovery. So more carbs is going to help you push a bit harder in the gym, which is going to make it easier to build muscle, but it's also going to help you recover better because it's going to help reduce stress hormone, for example. It's going to increase insulin, that's very protective for your muscle. It's going to help transport the carbs into your muscles so that you have energy for your next sessions. And there are just a lot of benefits to eating carbs. So you definitely want to eat enough carbs to support recovery and performance so that you can actually transform your lower body. You also want to sleep on schedule as much as possible. So this is one of the things that's important when you want to improve your recovery. If you go to bed, for example, on one day at 9 and then the next one at midnight and then at 7 and then at 11, there are big differences, and it makes your whole biorhythm or circadian rhythm a bit out of whack. So if you have like a lot of regularity doing this with your sleep schedule, when you go to bed, your sleep is going to, in general, be better. This is going to help recover better. You also might want to include some low intensity cardio. This is going to help you improve recovery, reduce inflammation, and it's going to help increase resilience so that you are not as stress sensitive. And overall, it will make it easier to recover from your session, to push harder in the gym, which is basically what we want. And it will make also your hormone profile a bit better, so you have less water retention, and for the same amount of muscle mass and body fat, you're just going to have a different look, and it's going to be a better one. And finally, you might want to include some low intensity stretching or movement practice. So it could also be some kind of massage. This is going to help you relax, but also some yoga or Pilates or some stretching. I know stretching is not that popular right now. A lot of people like to shit on that, but it's something that's going to help with your fascia specifically. And this also has an impact on your nervous system because stretching is going to decrease the tone of your muscle. It's going to help you relax your nervous system. So it's not something you have to do very often, but like if you can do a massage once a month or once every 2 months, and then include like once a week or maybe twice a month some form of stretching, then this is going to be helpful as well. So that was the micro view of what to do, and then we go also into the macro view of what to do. So if you want to transform your leg, you want to plan your journey ahead and you want to have dedicated phases for long-term success. So it's going to be easier to go on that journey if you dedicate some time specifically for a fat loss phase. It's going to make it easier to reduce your overall body fat. And then it's going to be easier if you have a phase where you want to build muscle and you really focus on that. It's just going to make things a bit different. It's going to bring a lot of clarity for your mindset as well, but also for the strategies that you use in training and nutrition. Then you definitely want to work on emotional well-being and emotional intelligence, because the stress levels that you experience and your recovery is influenced very, very strongly by your emotions and how you go on in life and experience things. And if you are very flexible and have a lot of emotional intelligence, then it's going to be way easier to not be stressed when something happens, or in relationships, or in the job, in your job. So this is something that you want to really work on. It will help you have less stress overall in your life, and thus have a bit less water retention and overall better body composition. Then you want to get your priorities straight and live by them. This is also something that's going to help you big time to decrease stress in your life, to decrease friction in your life. It's going to be very helpful to be consistent and motivated to do things, and to just stick to the plan that you have, so that you can really focus your effort and energy on reaching your goals and not something else. And you also want to surround yourself with people that want to see you win. So we definitely want to see you win in this community. um, all the other girls that are here to support you and also want to see you win. If you don't have that in your circles, like geographically where you live, then spend a bit more time with us online. But you can also try to create that kind of environment for yourself geographically where you live. Also connect with the other ladies in the community, and maybe you will find some people that are next to you, not far from you. And it's always nice to have that kind of support, and this is also going to help you with consistency, with motivation, sticking to it, and going after your goals. And lastly, you want to stay true to yourself first and foremost, because this is something that we preach. There's just no reason to kill yourself and have a lot of stress for some other people's goals. And just like put yourself first. This is going to help you reduce stress, as already said, but also really focus on reaching your goals and the things that are important for you in your life. Cool. Now we are at the last part. It's the lean leg killers. So this is what you want to avoid. If you want to have lean legs, the first one is intermittent fasting and low carb. This is just going to create, if you do this consistently, then it's going to create more stress hormone productions. It's going to create slight shifts in your metabolism that are per se not problematic. But if you do this consistently over time, then it can become problematic. So you want to definitely avoid that. And we already talked about carbs. You need that for performance and for recovery. So you're just going to fare better if you have enough carbs in your diet. and your legs are going to show that. You also want to avoid doing tons of hours of fasted medium intensity cardio. So, not eating and fueling your workouts is definitely something that we don't recommend, but also doing cardio at a medium intensity with the intention of burning a lot of calories is something that's going to backfire quite a lot often, because it creates a lot of fatigue that is not easy to recover from, on top of the other training that you're already doing. So if you want to do some cardio, then do low intensity, very like easy stuff, or do very few but very intense bout of cardio training. I also have like another the previous video actually was on cardio, so do check it out if you haven't already, so that you understand better the different intensities of cardio training. Then you also like eating mostly high processed food is definitely something that's not going to be helpful, because as we already said, you want to have a lot of fibers in your diet, a lot of whole food to get the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins that are going to help support the detox pathways. And if you eat mostly highly processed food, then those are going to be missing in your diet. You're not going to be able to detoxify as well, and this is going to show. You also want to avoid not strength training with high intensity. So this is something we see quite a lot, is doing the same kind of workout with the same kind of weight with the same kind of repetitions over a long period of time. So it's still going to be tiring. You're going to sweat, you are going to feel the weight, it's going to be tiring, and it's going to cost some energy, but it's not going to provide a stimulus that your body has to create new muscle mass. So imagine if you wanted to become a very fast sprinter or very fast runner, but the only thing that you did was to run, to walk always at the same pace. You can walk a lot. It's going at some point, it's also going to be tiring, but if you never sprint, then you're not going to get better at sprinting. And it's here exactly the same. You want to train with a high intensity so that your body knows it's time to develop, build your legs and build some muscle mass. You also want to avoid toxic relationships, because this creates a lot of stress in your life, and this is definitely something you don't want to have. You don't want to kill yourself for an unfulfilling job. This is also something that we see a lot in coaching. We've had quite a few ladies switching career path while working with us, because they realized their job was just not supporting of the things they wanted to achieve in their lives, and so they went out to try to find better opportunities for themselves, and this is what they did, and this is something that's going to make a massive impact on your stress level. You don't want to have the sleep is for the dead attitude. Sleep is super important if you want to look your best, and getting consistently too little sleep is not conducive of transforming your lower body. Now, of course, there are some times where it's not going to be possible to have like perfect and optimal sleep. If you have, like, for example, small kids at home, then that's the way it is. But like, as often as you can, try to prioritize your sleep and get rid of the attitude of I'm going to sleep when I'm dead. Constantly trying to become a smaller version of yourself is also one thing that's going to really kill your results and make it very, very hard to create leaner leg, because if you constantly try to get smaller, then you're not going to be able to build muscle, and muscle mass, as already stated, will make a big difference in the way your lower body looks. You also want to avoid not investing time in knowing yourself and your values. This is also something that plays a big role for stress and getting your priorities straight, so that you can create motivation and consistency with training, with nutrition, with recovery. And you want to know what is important for yourself and who you are, because then you are going to be able to create the lifestyle that support that kind of goals. And you also want to avoid going from one phase or one diet to the next at every roadblock. So every, like, for any endeavor you have, any goals you have, at some point you are going to hit a roadblock. It's a guarantee. But if every time you hit a roadblock, you change the course, you change the goal, or you try a different method, then nothing is going to work for you. So you really want to stick with something, give it a fair try, understand better how things work. We help you do this in this community with those educational video series, and you want to stick with the right thing for long enough and really avoid switching things at any roadblock. So I hope this was helpful. It was quite a lot of information and input, but try to avoid that and to apply that and avoid those lean leg killers, because they are going to make it very, very hard for you to transform your lower body. And I hope that this is going to help you and that you're going to crush it with your goals.